RNCM Music Now. Conversations. Real unscripted chats with people in the media industry.
Right, I'm here today talking to Jack. Hello, Jack.
Hi there, how's it going?
Good, thanks, yeah. So, what do you do, Jack?
Me, so we're currently sat at FutureWorks, which is a university on the border of Salford and Manchester. I'm a lecturer here. That's my day job, teaching on a few programmes. But as well as that, I run Northern Film Orchestra and was one of the co-founders of the orchestra. And then I'm also a composer and sound designer alongside. So quite a few things on the go at the moment.
That's good.
Did originally start as a composer, but then I've just gone on all these little side missions, and here I am.
That's how it goes, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You start on one direction and off it goes.
Yeah. I feel like I'd always had that kind of mindset where, I don't know, a lot of things interest me and I try like to dip my toe in and see if it's going to work for me or not. So I've done loads of little spin-offs along the way. And then it's just opened my eyes to lots of different ways of working in different areas of the industry, which I think is good. Yeah. Originally, I just wanted to make music for games, I think, when I was going to uni. And then I tried some work experience and I realised that actually working in games is kind of like working in IT. You sat around a computer all the time, which is good, but I don't know if it's exactly...
It's not great.
No, I don't know if it's exactly what I wanted to do. So then I thought, all right, well, I'll let the music bit, maybe music for films would be more the focus then. And I kind of pursued that, pretty hard after uni. But yeah, that would have been like the late 2010s. It was just very sporadic finding work. And at that point, I was just trying to find some kind of financial stability. So I was trying to make the composing thing work. And then I got a job at Cheetham School of Music in the concert hall, just checking tickets and things. And then I got basically the same job at RNCM as well, the Royal Northern College of Music. So I was at RNCM, I was at Cheetham's whilst trying to build a freelance career as a composer. But it wasn't really working at that point. But through working at those jobs, I got exposed to orchestral stuff. And that's kind of what led me into doing all the orchestra things.
So did you start off as a musician?
Yeah, so I started off with guitar lessons when I was 8. And then just got into music that way, really. Like I did have guitar lessons, but I'm not really classically trained in that sense. Like I only really learnt with tab, rather than actual sheet music and notes and things. But I just used to watch, I don't know if you remember Kerrang! The TV channel. Oh, yeah. Like the music channels on TV in the 2000s. The one called Kerrang!, which was like the rock channel. Right. Yeah, so I'd just listen to songs on there and then I'd go to a guitar lesson and say, I want to be able to play this. Yeah. And it'd just be like from a band I liked. And I kind of learned that way. I see. Yeah. So it's helped me to get my ear sort of developed at that young age, basically. But then,
So when you compose, you do it on keys then with a
Now I do MIDI keyboard and then I still play guitar and bass and things, but a lot of the time it's just MIDI keyboard right now. Yeah. So
when you come to needing a guitar, do you use a real guitar or do you just...
I'll try to,
You try to,
It always takes a lot look, if I'm going to play it for real and try and get it as good as possible, it does take longer, but I think it depends on the music. Okay. Because sometimes MIDI guitar can actually work quite nice.
Sometimes.
If you want more of an artificial sort of controlled sound, right? I find, but but it's so dependent on the project. I think the problem with acoustic guitar in particular is that it instantly makes things sound very folky. Right. If you know what I mean, it's hard to piano is a good instrument that it can work in a lot of different things, but I think acoustic guitar, especially for directors, it could instantly give the music a flavour that maybe they didn't want. Possibly, whereas I think electric guitar's slightly less, doesn't quite have that. It's a bit easier to sort of blend in with things. Yeah, I think that's if it's like clean. If it's more distorted, heavy the guitar, then obviously that's a different sort of vibe entirely.
So how did you end up heading towards orchestras? It's a bit of a switch, isn't it?
Yeah, it was sort of a fluke, to be honest. As I said, composing was sporadic in terms of finding consistent income. So I knew I had to do something to kind of level up my game. So what I decided one summer was to write a new batch of tracks from a portfolio, and then I said to myself, once I've got those, I'll record them with a string quartet and then get a bit of footage and give my website a refresh. Right, yeah. And I thought, well, if I do this, if nothing else, I'll have some better tracks and then should at least be a bit further along, along the ladder, trying to get to where I wanted. So when I did that, I had to organise that quartet session and things, had to get an engineer, get a venue, put all my music out on paper and do that. But I just really enjoyed the whole process. And then I sort of realised that I almost enjoyed organising it more than the actual recording in some way, which was an interesting sort of discovery. Yeah. But then after that, around the same time, I'd started working at a sound design studio. And then the person who ran that studio basically thought it was interesting what I was doing, instead of, you thought about making that into like an actual paid service that other composers could use. Yeah, and I don't know why, when he said it, I was just like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm just going to, let's give it a go. And then, I sort of went full steam ahead with that idea then, really. I went on Facebook groups and tried to find composers who would share the time, so we could split up like a 6-hour day.
Yeah. So that's where that concept came from, is it? Just going to Facebook with the idea of splitting the time?
Essentially, yeah. Well, originally I thought, well, how am I going to get loads of people to pay for it?
Yeah, it's not cheap.
And you need to get everyone there for at least 3 hours, to make it worthwhile for the musicians. But a lot of orchestras do the shared session setup now, just for that reason.
They? Yeah. Who started it?
I don't know who started it, but I think it probably comes from, I guess, when they had loads of music to record for lots of different projects, maybe. Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know who started it. I think it might be out in Eastern Europe, perhaps.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With some of the orchestras there.
So it wasn't you that started it?
No, it wasn't us that started it. It's definitely not a new concept in business, that's for sure. It's like a timeshare, with a holiday. It's basically the same principle, or like, if 10 people share a car or whatever it is. Yeah. It's that same kind of idea, really.
So lots of logistics in organising that, though, isn't there, I guess?
Yeah. So obviously, if you have 6 people rather than one person to record, then that's like 6 times the amount of emails and printing and all that stuff. So there's pros and cons, but I think the main thing is that your average person doesn't have like $3+ grand to drop on an orchestra session. Yeah. You know what I mean? But they might have 600 quid if they can pay for a 20-minute slot or whatever it is, basically. So it's that kind of idea. And then, that was January 2020. Did the first one.
That wasn't a good time to start, was it?
Well, it was, again, pros and cons with that kind of timing. The bad news was that, the launch went really well. Yeah. We actually had some composers lined up to go again in March, but because of all the lockdowns and stuff, basically put an end to that, and no one knew how long they would last for and things. Yeah, exactly. But it was good in a way, because I got made redundant from both my jobs, so I suddenly, after having a bit of furlough, so I suddenly had like infinite time on my hands. Yeah. Whilst also, trying to get this business off the ground. That's good. I think it gave me a lot of time to do the marketing and the website and business plan and all that kind of stuff that would have been a bit of a rush. Yeah. If I was still going to work and not in lockdown. Yeah. So it was a bit of a trial by fire, really, I guess, for all of that. It was funny as well, because we started with full orchestra of about 55 players, and then because of lockdown and social distancing, then we had to go down to quartet.
Really?
And then the rules got slightly more relaxed, and we were able to get bigger and bigger until we were back to full orchestra, basically. And since then, we've just been full steam ahead, trying to do as many sessions as possible, and then just slowly raise the bar in musical quality, which is what I think we kind of successfully did over the past like 3.5 years. And now we're in this sort of weird bit where, we're trying to punch through to that upper level, when you're getting like major projects. Film, major network TV, stuff for streaming and stuff. But then it's just, you're into that world of, your competition then becomes Abbey Road and these kind of places. So we're in that sort of annoying in between.
Then you're talking a different budget, surely.
It's different budget levels at that sort of level of the game.
So who would you say your target market is currently?
Target market, I'd say it's the intermediate composers who maybe aren't, big time names yet, but they're working on projects or they're pitching for projects and they're looking for some orchestral material, either to make the portfolio better, or they're already working on projects and they just want live players on them to take them to that next level. Yeah. I'd say that's kind of a core demographic. I'd say another one would be the people who've never worked with an orchestra before, even though we're probably, we're not the most cost-effective option for those kind of people anymore. I'd still we still got a lot of value for those people. Okay. So I think we very much cater to the new person who's new to this world. Yeah. So that would be a second demographic. And then the third one would just be, those major projects where they've got, say, like the budget for full 6-hour kind of recording sessions and things. So we'll see how it goes. I think we're in this new chapter. I think it's going to take about 18 months to 2 years to sort of look back and assess, how it's all gone. Yeah. But as of right now, I'm quietly confident. Okay. And then just fingers crossed that the things keep getting made in the UK, film, TV, and all this stuff, and then we should hopefully be able to, just keep on moving forward.
It's interesting that years ago, probably round about when you started, I saw you I think somewhere on Facebook maybe, or somewhere on the web, you popped up, and I just thought, what a brilliant idea. Yeah. because as a composer, I've always valued the sound of real instruments, and I just don't. I know sample libraries are good now, but you put one next to the other. There's just no comparison, really. I don't think.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, because part of my dream is to eventually have stuff performed by an orchestra.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, I thought, yes. And also, I have had experience with people that have hired orchestras previously to that. And the money they've paid is ridiculous. I mean, they went sort of somewhere like, I don't know, I think it was Romania or somewhere like that. And they still paid like £20,000 for a full sort of set of music that needed doing and that. So it's not cheap.
No, not at all. I think it's just because you've got so many skilled musicians in one place. Like every one of them musicians has gone through as much education as, like a pilot has. Or I use a lot of football analogies with it because I think it's a good way of getting it across, to like the lay person who doesn't know anything. But like the football players, they're in the academy from like age 6 or whatever, all the way through, and then they're in like the under 18s and stuff, under 21s. It's same with orchestral musicians. So by the time you're recording your music and they sit down to play it, they're bringing their like 2 decades of experience and training to the forefront. So obviously, that's why it has the price tag that goes with it, because you can't hire a skilled team of 60 plus people and expect it to be cheap. But it's interesting. I think that's why the Eastern Europe option has become, quite good for a lot of composers, because it allows you to get a comparable version of the thing that you want, but probably for like a quarter of the cost. Like that 20 grand in Romania, that would have been, I assume, it would have been a full orchestra for like at least a couple of days recording. Probably would have been, double or triple if you did it in the UK. And you got like all the VAT and stuff like that as well. So it is an expensive game. So I think that for composers, you've just got to be tactical about when and why to do it, I would say, as well. And then maybe, if you've got the money, but maybe your music isn't good enough yet, maybe wait until you're like 100% satisfied with the music, because it's a big investment and we just want everyone to get the most out of that.
Indeed.
Basically, because obviously it's like you could go on holiday for that money or whatever, you could take your family away or buy a new car. There's a lot of things.
Well, yours wouldn't be that sort of money. Yours would be considerably less than that.
Yeah, well, it just depends what you want and the amount of music. I think that's another thing I find with composers. They always come with too much music and too many players, but then they get like almost a bit annoyed when they can't afford it. And I always have to say, like, why don't you just shrink it down? It doesn't really need to be the whole orchestra. Could it be, 30 people instead? So I think that would be my other tip. If it is your first time, just don't try and record your masterpiece. Try and pick like a nice, simple, not too long, not too tough piece of music to record with, and you probably have a much better time. And you'll be able to get it within budget then, because it can confidently be done within a 20 to 30 minute slot without sort of any panic.
I guess that falls on deaf ears quite often, because I imagine as a composer you are just thinking, I've got to get my best piece out there and get it recorded. So I can imagine why a composer would sort of have that sort of mentality, but I can also see where it would be a struggle. We just always say to people, look, this is what we advise. Obviously it's your money at the end of the day, that kind of thing. Like, and that goes for duration as well. So like the duration of session to cover your music. Because obviously you can have 2-3 minute pieces of music, but the difficulty could be different. Or even if the difficulty isn't even that bad, just because it's slightly unconventional. Like the scale it's using or the kind of chord sequences. So many variables that dictate like how long a piece will take to record. So that's another thing we find. Composers will overestimate the amount that they can get done in the time potentially. And people always, I think because they're spending the money, they think, right, I'm just going to get as much as physically possible. Whereas again, I just think that's the wrong approach. You should do the opposite. You should just try and get the highest possible quality, even if it's only like 2 minutes of music that gets recorded. But so I just say that all to them, and then I leave it for them to kind of make their mind up. That's fair enough.
As long as we've advised it, and then no one can really complain then.
So your job is sort of to manage their expectations as well, and sort of
in a way, and I guess just get a sense for what kind of person they are, what kind of composers, and what their backstory is. Because some people are really easy to work with. For various reasons. And then some people are going to be hard with for various reasons. But it always makes me laugh, because some people are easy to work with because they've done it loads before. But then some people are hard to work with because they've done it loads before. Because they're like, I've done a million sessions. They think they know everything. If you ask them a question, they might take it wrong because they interpret it like you're trying to insinge it. Essentially. So that's another thing I find. But I'd say it's about 85% of everyone we've worked with has been lovely. There's probably about 15% are just a little bit friction.
Right.
But we've not had anyone super horrible. I think, it's just within that world, you've got all different types of composers. So part of my job is like trying to work out what kind of person they are, like sort of at the quote phase, so we can kind of feel them out, basically.
I guess the other thing as well is, like, if the likes of me, I have this idea that I'd like some of my music performed by real players, a real orchestra in the future.
Yeah.
But getting from the DAW to the bits of ink on paper is a challenge. I read music because I play the trombone.
Yeah.
But getting that into an orchestral score for all the different instruments is a challenge.
Yeah.
That, it's not a skill I've got. Is that something you do, or do you expect people to come ready?
So we have it as an additional service.
Okay.
People can opt in for if they need it. But to be honest, most composers we work with they're pretty good at getting their own parts together.
Oh,
to
are
be
they?
honest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Like most people are fairly confident with that, or they've got a friend that can help them or something.
I see.
Yeah, but part of what we do is get the parts and look at it, and then we usually send a few notes back, just with minor tweaks. Usually it's not anything big. It's more like formatting things.
I see.
Like having bar numbers on every bar rather than just the first one of the line or whatever. Because obviously in film music we need to be able to punch in from any particular moment. So it just saves the engineer having to do mental maths. Think like, it's 51 bars plus 7 or whatever it is. So we always do a bit of a proofread and then we recommend any tweaks. But I think the devil's in the detail with that kind of thing. Right. And it really is a case of getting someone who knows about orchestration, especially if you've got a specific idea in your head that you really want to get. I think, having a good orchestrator will help, I would say. But I'd say, it is a tricky part of the process. Yeah. And as well, how it sounds with the samples, it might not necessarily translate exactly the same with the real thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the more orchestra sessions you do, then the more confidence composers get in sort of hearing what the orchestra gives them and then knowing, all right, that's nearly there, but I just need to give them a couple of notes and then we can tweak it a bit. So obviously like Hans Zimmer and all these people that have done thousands of sessions, they're probably chopping and changing all the time in the moment because they've sort of got the confidence and experience too. But but for our kind of stuff, and especially with the independent composers, that you want to have solved all the problems before it comes time to record it. Like if we're trying to work out what your intention was whilst the musicians are on stage, then you're just burning money.
Oh yeah,
that could have been spent getting like another couple of takes or whatever.
And I guess there's a limit to the time they've got as well at that stage, isn't there?
Yeah, pretty much. Like most people are getting like a half an hour slot or a 1 hour slot. So if we have to spend a fifth of that time just figuring out issues and asking questions and stuff, then it's hundreds of pounds of worth of sort of recording time that could have been missed out on. So there's loads of reasons to be as prepped as possible. Yeah, I would say. But in theory, if someone wanted to pay the money to do a session, even they had very limited orchestration ability and kind of just sent over a basic score, we could still give a good rendition, provided, because as well you could look at the mock-up as like a guide for the composer's intention too.
Well, that'll take you time as well, I guess, and that's all factored in, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't want to just say we only work with people who can read music and things. We want to open it fully up. But it's interesting. I assumed there'd be a lot more people that needed help than actually do.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I thought every other person would need a hand, but to be fair, most people seem fairly confident at giving their own parts a go, which is
maybe it's not as hard as I think it is then.
I think it's less hard. It's more, it's artistic, isn't it? So there's no like right way of doing things. It's all about what are you trying to achieve, and then what's the best way of trying to get that across. And obviously a good orchestrator, they'll have like a memory bank of all the classical music they've ever heard in their life that they can dive into and like nick a bit from here and a bit from there. So it can be tricky. But I think again, the less complicated you make your music when it comes to big orchestra stuff, the better. Yeah, I tend to find. Okay. Because again, it's just easier to translate your ideas.
I've been guilty of it as well. But I think I've received music in our library that I've listened to that's orchestral, and I thought, or they've got real instruments or fake real instruments in there. Yeah. And you think, because you got like the situation where something's playing so high and so long on a trumpet or something like that, and you think, no, that player's not going to do that. Yeah. Or they're playing a sustained note for about like 2 minutes. You think, like, not everybody can do circular breathing that plays a brass instrument. Yeah. So I suppose there's things like that, isn't there, to think about as well, really.
Yeah, all those little details aren't apparent until you actually try it with a real person.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a go at that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you've got a piece that you believe in and you think you want to hear how it sounds with a full ensemble.
Yeah, I believe in all of them, but for different reasons. But the problem is, it's like, so far, my existence has been write a piece of music, put it out, write another piece of music and put it out, and the styles can vary massively. And sometimes I've thought, well, I'll do one in such a style. Like corporate music used to be very, very lucrative. Now corporate music's got a certain sound.
Yeah,
it's got the mute guitar sound in it and all that. If you've heard it, you hear it on every corporate advert as well. So I've written loads of that stuff. Not enjoyed any of it that much, really. Yeah, but it's made money, and then you write other styles that you enjoy, and they maybe don't make as much money. So but that has been my existence, sort of writing the stuff. So although I believe in them all to some extent, they're all there for a purpose. Yeah. It's not like a client's come to me and said, I want this piece of music using a real orchestra for my brand or my film or for my advertising campaign or whatever it is. That's a different thing altogether then. And I suppose that's where your service would slot into that then, because you could offer that as an option. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, people come and record for lots of different types of reasons. Like some people, it's just like a life goal. Yeah. And they don't have any commercial ambitions. It's just, they love writing music. It's something they've always wanted to do. And then, it's sort of like that bucket list thing. They've done it once, tick it off, and then, they might never do it again. Yeah. Then other people are a lot more sort of career focused, so they do it to enhance the portfolio. And then, you've got the people that need it because they're actually working on proper projects and things. So, there is quite a big spectrum. But, I think it just depends. I mean, the best type of session is where it's not for any imminent project, in my opinion.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, when it's just for... Yeah. Well, if it was me as a composer, when it's just for your own expression, musical expression, I think they're the best ones. Because it means that there's no outside pressure at all. You can just satisfy yourself completely without having to worry about director or any of this kind of stuff.
And no expectations.
So I imagine with the corporate music, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. We'd be surprised if you got a huge amount of feedback and notes.
There's different levels of library music. So there's the stock music and royalty-free music, which is the same thing. It's just they call it different terms, which confuses people. And then you've got the sync libraries and the production music libraries, and they're more sort of particular. Whereas like you can go now, create a number of tracks and put them on Pond 5 and just upload them, and they'll probably get accepted. And then you won't get any feedback. You'll just get them used or not used. But you don't get that feedback from them. Whereas I think if you go into the libraries that are higher up, the sync libraries, then that they will give you like a brief from what they want, and then they'll give you notes. Sure. They'll ask you to do an album's worth as well quite often. Some of them still pay, which is quite unusual now. To get money up front. But I know somebody that got paid 10 grand to do 10 tracks for a library. Cool. He got that up front. He had to use real instruments, but he played most of the instruments himself, so he was okay. But, it's a question of budget then, isn't it? What can you afford if you had to pay the people? I
imagine on the higher end is probably the only people that have the budget to get live players a lot of the time, particularly if it's like an orchestral thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've not heard of anybody coming from a library and giving somebody money to hire an orchestra. But I guess it happens. Probably like the sort of upper sort of reaches of things, because you got like extreme music and all them kind of things, so I reckon on their kind of level. Probably, but it's just so hard to know really. With a lot of things you hear these days, it is getting harder to tell if it is samples. Do you think so?
Or within library music, when in music that's already blended a lot with electronics and things anyway, I do think a lot of the samples are getting much, much better for like them ensemble sort of stuff. I think the legato soloist style playing for strings and things will always be hard to get. But I mean, you say you play trombone, so maybe your ear with brass and things might be better than mine. But I think definitely for strings and stuff, I think it does get harder to tell. But what about the actual business side? Operating a music business. So as you said, what was it, 2005? You established. I imagine a lot's happened in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can go back before that. I had in the sort of I'd say the 90s, I was sort of messing around with sound modules and samplers, and I was writing my own music. And I started thinking, well, how can I get this used? And at the time, there was no sort of clear path into that. So I just kept writing it. And it was like the days where like I bought an ESI 32 sampler EMU, and it was £1,200, and it had 2 megabytes of RAM, and you had to use floppy disks to load it. So there was a piano that you could load off 2 floppy disks, and that was your 2 megabytes.
No way.
The sounds were quite limited. But of course, through the 90s to the 2000s, sounds started to get a lot better. But I'd say round about the end of the 90s, there was like the .com boom, and somebody I knew said, "Oh, we should make a website, and you put your stuff on a website and start selling it online, because no one's really doing this." Selling licenses to it. So me and a few other people got together and set this company up to do that. It's called Zejo, Zejo, and it was a nightmare because there was too many people involved in it that had different ideas that were in conflicting sort of ways, and I won't go into some of the drama that happened, but it was just dramatic, and we went till about 2003, and we just proved the concept. We'd got composers on a website, we were selling a few licenses, but then one of the founders who had control of the web took it down because he thought we were doing something. He thought we were illegally trading for some reason. Yeah. And he took it upon himself to just take the website down. And the composers that were on there, we didn't know what they were due money-wise. So I said to him, well, I'm stepping down as the director. You can sort this out. It's your mess. Yeah. And he ended up paying them like nominal amounts, like £5, £10. And then I sort of thought, well, I've got to start again, and I don't know how. So by 2005, I'd sort of got a way to start again. Yeah. And this company locally to me said, well, we'll build you a website and you can pay us as you go. And so that was the start of it again. And of course, I had all these composers from the old library, and I thought, shall I contact them? It didn't end well. So I thought, well, what's the worst they can say? It's no. Yeah. So I contacted them, and a few of them were quite rude to me. Some of them said, yeah, I understand, it's fine. I explained the whole story, and a few of them said, yeah, put music on the new site, that'll be fine. Yeah. One guy called Bjorn, who runs Shockwave Sound, he had sent me, I think, 600 to 800 tracks in the past. Yeah. And he was the one person I wanted on the new site because it was a good library, and all my music had gone a bit dated by then, so I needed all these other people. And I phoned him up. He wasn't happy. No. He had a right go at me. I was like, I'm sorry. And in the end he said, well, if I don't have to do anything and you can sort it all out, then we'll go with it, we'll try it again. All right, thanks. So we did that, and anyway, the rest is history, because from there on we just built a steady business. But then, back then there was only a few of us doing this online. So Bjorn with his Shockwave Sound, he was one of them. Yeah. And there was a few others, and we were all selling licenses for about £30, $30, £27. So
is that for any project?
I think the original concept was you pay once. And then there's no performance royalties due or any mechanical royalties due. But that definition has sort of evolved over the years.
So is it like they pay once and they can use it as much as they want for that project? Kind of.
That's one. You see, there's no standard license either.
So you can have one that's like you can use it infinite for everything.
There's some libraries that say it's royalty free, but then when you look in the terms, it'll say, but you can't use it for this. Yeah. So it's like, well, it's royalty free for all this stuff, but not that and that and that. And a lot of the ones that you look at, you can't do sort of advertising with it, but you can use it in the background of your video on YouTube. And then there's others where you have to select what you're using it for, and it gives you a license just for that use. Ours on Media Music Now, we sort of took a few sort of influences, and we said, right, well, for most uses you can pay once. So if it's YouTube, you just pay the one time, and you can use it on your channel as many times as you want, on as many videos as you want. No restrictions. Which worked out well because KSI became one of our biggest customers.
That's cool. So you're still a big customer?
No, not anymore. No. Yeah.
That's pretty epic, though.
Yeah. But he became a good customer for quite a few years.
In that kind of world, it's just getting those people who are making videos so often that they just need good throughput of music. But that's interesting.
Yeah, and he just, of course, ours was £27.50 a track. Yeah. and he just bought hundreds and hundreds of tracks over the years.
Yeah.
With no issue of the price or anything like that. And then like Mini Minter, the Sidemen, they all became customers as well. So we did well on YouTube, probably because of that license where you could license it once. Free.
People want to pay once and use it for whatever. Yeah, certainly an attractive offer. But that's quite interesting. But is it different, the business climate now though, than when you start? Because I've only run it in the orchestra for 5 years, so I only really ever know the post-COVID world. Okay, if you know what I mean. So I always, because people talk about the 2000s like it was some golden age, kind of thing. But I'm always intrigued just to hear from other people like what things are actually like, maybe historically.
I think from 2005. I mean, we started next to nothing, and it built up, and probably by 2010 to, 2018, we probably did our best business then, but then it started to decline after that because the royalty-free model started to change. Yeah. So more players came in, and again, saying there's no standard royalty-free license, so people made up their own terms, which they're entitled to do. There's no issue with it. It's just you're just leveraging copyright in some form, and it's a license. The sad thing is that the royalty-free term is the key word, and that you have to use that to get to rank in the search engines, and so because of that, then loads of royalty-free music libraries started occurring, and then the term became more competitive, so the web position started to slip. So some income went down, but then what really killed it is when they introduced subscriptions. Yeah. Because that was the end, really, of earning an income off it, because you'd get composers that could earn a very good income by just writing. Like I've said to you earlier, I sit there and write music and we'll just put it out and see what it does. And when you get to like 500 tracks, you'd end up with a good regular income. As soon as the subscriptions came in, your income dropped by about 80% overnight, really.
Yeah, that's terrible. A lot of people were screwed over.
There's a lot of bad sort of feeling about it. I mean, some people are still doing okay out of it. I don't know. They've got lots of tracks. I think if you start from scratch now, royalty-free is just too competitive. It's too competitive and it's too cheap. Yeah. It wouldn't be so bad if it was just competitive, but it's competitive and it's hard to earn money. So the big change really for me, and the way we're sort of turning our business now, is we're keeping the royalty-free library because it's there. So there's no point just turning it off. It still generates money, but it doesn't generate enough money. So we're going to build a sync library next to it. So the level for sync has got to be higher. So the quality's got to be higher. Yeah. It's got to be available in stems. It's got to be 48 kilohertz.
Yeah, so it's all like sort of more deluxe kind of offering.
Yeah. So things have changed, but not in a good way for the independent composer. Yeah. So I think now the only way for somebody to be in library music is sync music. Yeah, so getting things placed in actual programs and stuff like that. That's it. Yeah, I think it's the only way anyone can make money, really. Like I've got a friend who's in a band. Okay. And I think other than ticket sales and things, it's like their best shot at getting any money is getting like a sync thing. Getting a placement in a Netflix thing, getting like 10, 20 grand. Yeah. Obviously, label takes a bit, publisher takes a bit. Yeah. But to make that through Spotify or any other means, even through Bandcamp and stuff, it's just, too difficult, I think, really. I mean, I don't know how many streams you'd need. I think you'd need several million to get anywhere near 20 grand on Spotify. Yeah, definitely. And then same with, Bandcamp. Say you had like 100 super fans, willing to spend 50 quid on your album, whatever. It's still, you know what I mean? How much is that? 5 grand? Something like that,
yeah. So, and that's for a band of 4 people. So when you split it all up, it's just... Exactly. I think that's the problem with music. It's like the economics just don't add up. Like the time you put in versus what you get out just is never going to line up. And it's kind of always been a bit like that. But I feel like now it is exceptionally bad, but just because of how much easier making music has become versus maybe and getting it out there compared to what it used to be. Yeah.
I think the other thing is as well is greed is an issue. You talked about the industry before, and I think...
Yeah, no, I was basically just saying that, well, I mean, you don't even have to take my word for it. You can look at the graph of like music industry revenue. It peaks in like 2000 and then it goes right down and then it's kind of coming up a tiny bit. But yeah, it's just, I think unfortunately it's sort of reached its peak and I don't know if it'll get back.
But the artists are still getting screwed all the way through that, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the artists were still You know what I mean? The artists were still getting screwed, but obviously getting screwed is a bit easier to swallow when you're still making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're still getting like $4 million from your record sales and all this. Whereas now they're getting screwed and not getting anything.
Yeah, I guess as well, it's the same with the stock music and the royalty-free music. It's like when you at one time you could earn a good income. Now it's not a full-time income. You know, it's just.
So you have to have like several things. You have to be a lecturer and library music.
Well, if you were going to do that now, you'd have to, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the reality. Like I was talking about this with my business partner. We're basically saying how rock music's kind of, again, it's you know, it's sort of had its day, really, isn't it?
Rock music
for various reasons, but we're basically just saying that because of the cost of living.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how you have to be from well-off background to be able to afford the time and energy to even have a band. You know what I mean? Like how are you supposed to write and rehearse if everyone's doing a 40-hour week just so they can rent their one-bed thing in a house share?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas back in the day, obviously I'm just imagining this because I wasn't actually alive then, but you know, you could be on the dole, you could rent some shithole for dirt cheap, but it didn't matter because, you know, whereas now you have to rent the same shithole, but it's not dirt cheap. It's like market rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, why be in a band when you could just be a solo artist and have a quarter of the hassle for like 4 times the benefit, basically. But yeah, I think it's just all these factors that sort of really, I guess, derailed music in a sort of old sense. And then I think people are just still trying to figure out where it's all, you know, what the new music industry is going to look like, kind of. But it seems to be they're all about the megastar now. They'd rather just put all their energy into the megastars, you know, rather than having like a wide, diverse lineup. Yeah, they'd just be like, what are our 5 biggest artists? Let's just go fully in on them, and everyone else then. We don't make any money off them, so we just forget about them.
Yeah. It is all about money, isn't it, to the industry? I mean,
unfortunately.
It's like, with the independent composers that are in the stock music industry, I think we didn't put a subscription on our website because I said it at the beginning, when this came about, people should have taken the music out of those sites. They should have said, right, I don't
protest.
I don't want to be in a subscription because you're going to dilute me money to make it, and it won't be worth me doing it. But people didn't. They kept putting the music in, and as a result, then what happens there is the company is greedy. So I mean, I'm a library, so I could take that attitude, but it's not me. But the other companies, they're greedy. The way they think of it is, well, if we can get like 1,000 customers paying us £15 a month, that's good regular money for us. The fact that the composers are now getting pennies for their licenses doesn't matter to them. They're just thinking about, because the way they do it, let's say it's £15 a month. If the composer shares 40%, which it was 50% one time, it's now gone down to 20% up on 5. What they do then, they take the 20% off the money and they divide that between all the music downloads. Yeah. Which, in my experience, I started seeing, certain libraries I was getting hundreds of pounds a month from. So the idea was you'd put your music in lots of different libraries. Yeah. And so I had my music out there, and we had our own music library with other people's music in it as well. So it was working nicely. But then when the libraries stop sending you amounts that are in pounds, and start sending them that are in pence, I've had payouts that have been like a penny, and then I've had a couple now that have been 0.
Yeah. Oh no!
And when you question, well, why is this 0? It's the library just said, oh, well, it's because the amount was diluted that much as a fraction of a penny that we can't pay out. Yeah.
So essentially, you just have to do a lot more work to get the same as what you used to have, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, again, but where do you draw that line? You know, who's being exploited there?
Yes, the whole thing's a big mess, isn't it?
It is.
But then the end user, they don't care.
I would say a lot of YouTubers that were our customers have now gone to these subscription libraries.
But yeah, if you're a YouTuber and you need a vast amount of tracks at one easy price and you don't have to like juggle all that stuff, it makes sense. But yeah, it's just all these competing factors, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, it just comes down to money, and then anything that can be cheaper and more convenient, people are always going to try and push for. But I think it's just hard because the composers, if everyone banded together, they would have some sort of collective power, but it's everyone on their own, it's really difficult, isn't it?
That's it.
Because even if 90% of composers went against it, there's still the 10% who are like, great, well, I've just got way less competition now, kind of thing. So it is tricky with all that stuff, I guess. And I suppose as a library owner, you could think, just increase revenue of the company by 10% by like changing the deals or whatever it is. You know, you've always got always got that card to play if you wanted to. So, if you're running like a massive library with millions and millions, you could see where the greed comes in, because they just look at the sheet and be like, hang on a minute, if we just upped our price by 10% or gave the composers a bit less, we could add like 2 million quid to the bottom line.
There are libraries that have done that,
Yeah, but I do think with those decisions, are they thinking that long term, or are they just thinking ahead to like the next chapter, if you know what I mean?
I'm not sure.
Because it seems to be that people never think like the 2 or 3 stages of like what the consequences will be.
It's hard to say. Time will tell, I guess. I mean, in terms of the future, the way I see media music now going is we've got our old legacy library, which will stay. But we'll build like the sync version of that. And also we've introduced this podcast to try and make a bit of a community. I suppose it's just nice to be able to sort of connect with other people and you do it as a networking thing. And then also we're doing something called Media Music Now Connect, which we're going to build a database for professional sort of creators that want to sort of put their services on. Because we do stuff with voiceovers as well. So, we'll do voiceover jobs where we hire the voiceover and do all the audio production and music mixing. But we have to go to, we've only got a certain amount of voiceovers. And then if somebody wants somebody with a particular accent or a particular language, we have to go to some of the other voiceover sites. But there's one very big one that they charge the voiceovers, I think it's like about £300 a year to be on it. Then they have to pay a percentage when they get hired.
Oh, really?
And then they won't even put their real names on there. So customers like us, when we're sourcing a voiceover for a client, we have to go there, see all these single named people, submit a proposal and a budget, and wait for the quotes to come back. And it's all handled through that platform. So there's no contact between us and them, which makes it difficult in some ways. But that's their business model. But it does exploit people a little bit, because we have to pay to download the demos. It's like, well, we're just downloading the demos to send to our client.
I guess it's like LinkedIn. You have to pay to advertise a job and all that kind of stuff.
Do you? Right. Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Right.
If you want to advertise like a position properly and things, I think you need like a Premier account. But I think just any way they can extract money out of people,
that's it.
They probably will. I guess, but it's probably not the worst business to be in. They're like middlemen.
That's probably a good business.
Like middlemen business models.
But it irritates us when we're trying to find a voiceover. So what we're going to do, we're going to build this directory of voiceovers, audio producers, composers. We'll see who comes along. There's room for others as long as it's in that creative sector. And we're just going to make it so that they pay to be on it, because we can't do it for free. We're a business at the end of the day. But they'll pay one fee. And they'll have the details on there, and that people will be able to connect with them directly.
Have you seen much of a change in terms of like international markets, I guess, over your time? Because I guess like foreign markets of film and TV and things have become a lot more popular in the past like 15 years. Definitely like South Korea, China, all these kind of places.
From my perspective, not a huge amount, but I think there's a reason for that. I think Media Music Now has primarily been the UK, Europe, America, Australia. But I mean, I suppose generally the only sort of change I've seen is in quality and quantity of stuff. But in terms of different markets, it's been quite consistent throughout. We tend to have our customers.
Like English language kind of countries.
I mean, maybe if we put a different language on the site, that may help.
It's just so hard to know where the music supervisors and people are like looking and everything.
So with regards to the orchestral projects, is it just local people, British people, or is it from abroad as well? So it's probably
60% UK based, just thinking back historically. But we've had a few global collaborations, like we've worked with a composer in Japan, worked with some people in South Korea, and in quite a few different countries in Europe. So I think like Denmark, Italy, Spain, France, all those kind of places. I'm trying to remember. I think we might have worked with someone in Sydney, and then obviously quite a lot of Americans. And there's a guy from Mexico called Oscar we've recorded with a couple of times. So about 60% UK, but then there's a fair amount of international stuff. And then with the international ones, a lot of it has been independent composers, but we've started to recently get some more commercial things. So we did music for a South Korean video game last October, so that was pretty cool. I just want to get more of the Far East stuff if I can, because I think it's quite an exciting sort of area for the future.
Okay.
So I don't know if you knew that China is the world's second largest film market behind America in terms of like box office.
No, I didn't know that,
It's predicted to be the number one,
right.
within the coming decades. So yeah, I'm just always interested about, what's the future going to look like, and then how can we get these connections going. And then obviously more long term is that Africa and these kind of places are predicted to have, the most population growth out of anywhere of the 21st century. So, for example, they're supposed to have more births in Nigeria than the whole of Europe.
Really?
So you got to think, in like 2-3 decades' time, when things are a bit more developed, and the economies are a bit more sort of stabilised and everything. You'd assume there'd be a massive cinema market for these kind of places. So it's about, how do you punch through and maybe get them relationships so that in a couple of decades' time they come and record with us or wherever. Yeah,
you're looking ahead.
Well, I'm just always, I'm intrigued by these things, and then just trying to think about, just where things are heading, because I don't think you can ever rest on your laurels and just assume everything's going to be the same. And like the UK is obviously, the UK will always be a really good country for like music and media and things, but I think you can never. There's always that danger of just assuming everything will stay the same. So you've got to anticipate that things are going to change, and then think how you can stay on top of it. Really, I reckon. But I think global collaboration is good, because then you're not just limiting yourself to UK projects with UK budgets and things like that. If you expand as wide as possible, then in theory it allows more things to happen.
So did you find with different sort of areas of the world that the style of music's different? I mean, it's all going to be orchestral in some form, is it? But do you find there's different styles?
Can be, yeah. I mean, so much of what we do is dictated by the project that they're working on. Okay. So that great game, even though it was a South Korean team, it was a game where the visuals and the world of the game is sort of medieval European fantasy. So the South Korean writing in the style of what they imagine like a European fantasy setting. But then you can always hear a bit of their culture kind of coming through. But to be honest, it's less than you'd assume, just because most of the time it's sort of soundtrack music, if you know what I mean. So it's more similar than different a lot of the time.
Right.
But yeah, we've done a few more world music style things though.
Okay.
Like we did an orchestral qawwali crossover, which is like a South Asian style of music. So that wasn't for film or anything. So that one was allowed to be a lot more sort of overtly, sort of had that qawwali sound, that South Asian sound. But there's not too much difference, to be honest.
Okay.
I think the main thing, we had an interpreter at that South Korean session. That was quite fun.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so conductor would say to the interpreter, who would then convert it from English into Korean.
That'll take time, I guess, as well.
Yeah, yes, that was a new one for us. That we hadn't thought about before, but
this is where AI might help you in the future, because
definitely, you could have real-time subtitles and
that's it. And also your website, it'd be easier to do a multilingual website with AI, because it's always been quite a challenge, that, and that's one of the reasons we've never done it.
Yeah.
Because there's always been like auto translate tools.
Yeah.
They've always been pretty rubbish. And so the advice has always been, well, don't do your website like that. If you're going to do it, get somebody of that language.
To localise it. Yeah, I think definitely, because with the translation thing, the translator needed to know enough about music to convert it correctly into Korean. Because obviously, if you do a direct translation, it might not necessarily be the best way of explaining it once it's in that other language. So, things like that are quite interesting. The only other thing with them is obviously they just join remotely through Zoom, and then there might be like a big time difference sometimes. Like if we record with someone in LA, it's normally like 3-4 a.m. for them.
So when you organise a session, where do you actually do the recording?
So we've got a few different places that we go. So the main one is Stoller Hall. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
I've not been there, but I've heard of it.
It's connected to Chetham's School of Music. It's not a full-size symphony hall. It's sort of like a chamber music hall in terms of stage size and what it's built for. It holds about 480 audience. Obviously, when we record there's no audience, so it's just totally empty. But Stoller Hall for all the big stuff, and then for the smaller stuff, when it's like 20 musicians or less, we actually do it at Halle St. Peter's, if you know the Halle as well. So that's the Halle Orchestra, that's their headquarters.
Okay.
It's the St. Peter's Church in Ancoats that they're now based at.
So
they've got the main hall there, and then they've got an upstairs Victoria Wood Hall. So the other day,
Wood Hall.
So the other day we were recording in there. So it's mainly those two. Sometimes we do things here at Future Works when it's like the more micro budget end. But it tends to be those spaces, just because we need somewhere that we can roll in all our gear in and out without too much fuss, and that we know acoustically is going to be good. Because obviously with an orchestra, so much of the sound is having a good room as well to help all the sounds blend and propagate. So that's the main space, really. And I think we're lucky with Manchester because there's a few different options of spaces to record. If Stoller didn't exist, we could have gone RNCM or out of Push. There's always Bridgewater, although that's a lot more expensive.
Right.
Yeah. So I always say to people, there's probably certain cities around the globe you could set up an orchestra like ours. I think we were just quite lucky that Manchester had all the key ingredients kind of thing.
It's good that it is in Manchester because a lot of stuff is in London.
Well, that was another thing really, like trying to break away from that London-centric sort of side of the film industry. Right. Because a lot of things get shot up here, but then all the post and pre-production just goes back down to London. Okay. And obviously Abbey Road and Air Studios are well known for the Hollywood film score stuff.
Indeed.
So it was just a way of trying to capture some of that work back up north, and then hopefully, over time we can challenge that sort of London-centric view of doing things. Okay.
And so do you think that's working then? You wouldn't sort of decide to pack up and go to London or anything?
I don't think so, no. I definitely wouldn't be going to London if I was going to pick somewhere else, to be honest. I think there'd be better cities that are a better fit. Okay.
So can you see a point where you'll have them in different cities?
Maybe. It'd be a nice idea. It just depends. Just have to look at what the benefit is. You know what I mean? Because what's the point of opening the same thing in another country if it's going to be more expensive or whatever?
No, another part of this country maybe.
Oh, another part. Yeah, potentially. I quite like Scotland. Glasgow could be a cool place to do it. But then there's already people doing...
Is there?
There's people called Clockwork Sessions in Glasgow doing the same thing. So it's just, I guess, just figuring out the right way. But you need a city that's big enough, but not the capital. Yeah. Something that has a conservatoire so you can draw players from, and a good amount of concert halls and, recording engineers and things. Cool. But then cost of living is comparatively low. They would be like all the criteria, basically. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility then, I guess, but
it's certainly a possibility.
Not your highest priority.
No, I think it'd be more a case of if we were going to open something in a different place, just do something that we couldn't already do. Yeah. But to be honest, I think we'll just end up having our own little facility somewhere in the northwest.
Oh, that'd be good.
So we'll still use the main concert halls. But then if we had maybe a room, 2 or 3 sizes of that, we could get a small string section in. That'd be quite good. But I think that'd be the goal, to have our own studio with a nice live room. Okay. So that for the smaller stuff we can do in there without needing to rent somewhere, and then it gives us a headquarters and place to do the mixing and bring clients and things. But there were probably a few stages away. It's just the money of it all. Yeah,
just building it.
If you're renting something, then you just chipping away at your own margin. And it's like you shouldn't really do it unless you really need to. So I think for us, we'd be better off buying somewhere on a business
old church
mortgage.
Or something.
And doing that way, and then at least you've still got the asset at the end if it all goes pear-shaped. You can sell it off or whatever you choose to do.
Yeah, it'd be good, that, wouldn't it? Because you could set everything up and it'd just be always
because right now we have to roll everything in, set it up and then pack it down and roll out. And it'd be nice to just leave the mics and the chairs where they are and just turn the lights off. That'd be really good.
That'd be good, that, wouldn't it?
Save us a lot of time and effort. But we'll just have to see what comes. I think it's a very up and down kind of business, as you know. Yeah. I can get a phone call tomorrow saying, we want to book you for 10 days with a giant orchestra. Yeah, right. Here's like $400,000. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. But then that also, it's just a lottery, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Might not get that call for years and years. But I compare it to like selling package holidays. Because it's the same kind of price as a starting point. Okay. You know what I mean? You might not be selling hundreds a day, but when you do sell one, it's quite a significant kind of amount. It would be interesting to see how it develops. But I think
definitely.
Based on where we're at now, I'm optimistic about what the future holds.
Good. Mm-hmm. And would you sort of, are you focused sort of on the niche of orchestral, or are you good at thinking of branching off into other instruments, other sessions?
We do any instrument. If someone came to me and says, I need accordion and I want this and I want that, we're called Northern Film Orchestra, but whatever someone's request is, we can definitely make it happen. You might need to pay a bit more than normal if it's something really exotic, if we've got to fly some specialist in. But it doesn't matter what it is. If the budget is there, we can make it happen for you, basically.
And I suppose most of your sessions remote accessed, or do people come down to session?
A lot of them are remote, just purely because people are coming from other countries or whatever. But I think most of the time, if someone can be in person, they probably will be. Okay. But obviously, if they're abroad or whatever it is, some people just can't because of work and things like that as well.
Yeah. So I guess in that scenario, your location doesn't really matter either, does it then?
Not too much, no. I think for us it's just, as I say, being in a place that has a wide amount of orchestral players, sort of in the general vicinity. So yeah, northwest of England, southeast of England, probably your best places to be.
Okay.
Or like, the Scotland kind of area. Yeah. But I mean, even in the UK, the world of high-end orchestral musicians is pretty small.
Right.
Everyone's going to know everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you're at that sort of Hollywood budget level, people will travel up from London to do a session because, it's like 150 quid an hour kind of thing. So,
that's all right,
the train is insignificant at that point.
Yeah,
so, I think when you're on that higher level, you can kind of get whoever you want.
Well,
which is quite exciting.
So, with the lower session, do you ever use sort of students or people that are...
No, we'd never do that anymore.
No.
Originally, we used a mix of students and freelancers. And we started with that sort of level and we've just gradually notched it up to the point where now we'd never really... I mean, some people might be like doing their masters or something, but they're already playing with other orchestras. They're already sort of
professional players.
Yeah, basically. I mean, students would only be possible in very niche scenarios. Like if someone was like, I just don't have the money for the regular orchestra, I'm happy to accept a 6 out of 10, and use students if it allows it to be in budget. Times like that would be fine, but I think we just want to be about quality of output. Rather than the sort of volume at this stage. So we'd rather just charge more to hire the best people we can get and then, do the music better in less time kind of thing. But that's what I'd recommend. If anyone listening wants to start their own orchestra, it's like you probably want to start with students.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're just playing on hard mode because then you have to charge more.
Playing on hard mode.
Yeah, essentially, because how do you convince someone to give you 2,000-3,000 quid to record with an orchestra if you've got no portfolio?
True.
You know what I mean? You can't just be like, trust me, they're the most amazing players. So it's easier to get the ball rolling if you start with students and pay lower rates and sort of build it up that way.
Right.
But that's why UK is just a difficult climate to set up these kind of businesses because of just various factors, pretty much. Yeah, I think a good time would have been the 90s.
Yeah,
I think
possibly,
you could have set something up in the 90s in Manchester and done pretty well, I think.
Yeah, because sample libraries were very expensive then as well.
Yeah, and I just think comparatively with like the union rates and loads of different things, I think, there was just a lot. There's quite a few windows we could have set this kind of thing up and sort of made it work quite nicely. But I think now it's like probably harder to set up these kind of businesses unless you're already a composer yourself.
Yeah.
If you're a composer yourself, then it's actually quite easy to set up because you can just use it for your own sessions
I suppose.
and then just add let some other composers piggyback your time kind of thing. So... Yeah, that's always the hardest bit, is just getting people to part with their money and actually want to book a session. Because you don't have to convince anyone that it's good. Yeah. That's one of the best beauties of running an orchestra is that you don't really need to sell it.
No.
I think it's pretty obvious the value of it and what it brings to the table. It's like, ask most people, do you want an orchestra session for free? Or for £100, it'd be like, but it's like, all right, would you want the same thing, but for $3,500? It's like, I just don't have the money. I'd love to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's never like, I'd hate to do that and I don't have the money. Yeah. It's something everyone would want to do. It's just that money part of the equation.
Yeah. From what I remember from some of your posts, the rates started reasonably, I wouldn't say cheap and I wouldn't say expensive, but I'd say achievable.
Yeah, they were in line with what people charge in Eastern Europe, basically.
Right, okay.
And then since then, we've gradually boosted it up. Because essentially, if you're in the UK, if you want to have quality musicians, you have to go union rates.
Yeah.
Basically, and union rates instantly makes you like triple the price of Eastern Europe.
Really,
yeah.
Right.
So essentially, at that point, you can't compete on price. Like if your selling point is price, then you're probably not going to get very far. You know what I mean? Because you could be the same price as Eastern Europe, but their licenses are still more relaxed than they are in the UK. You know what I mean? So they're always going to be more attractive.
Yeah.
So I think if you're doing a UK operation, it's better to just go at the premium end and be like, we cost more, but then, we're going to be noticeably way, way better than anything you could get on the continent. Right. Kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. So it's just about doing it in stages.
Yeah.
Because you could just start and say you're going to do that. If you're already like, middle-aged and had 20 years experience, loads of contacts and things, it'd be easier. But I was 25 with none of that. So I just had to kind of play the situation as I found it. And I think we pretty much did okay. Because I've never really had a proper job. Like I've only ever worked part-time. I've never had like an office job or anything like really grim like that. I just knew from like my first day at work, it's like, I hate this. I hate this. Just find me a way to, get away from all of this. So that was always part of my ambition really. That work for yourself to get that kind of freedom.
I can
and then
relate.
I suppose if you do a good job, then it can lead to better things.
Mm.
But then also there's the flip side. You can be too busy with too much stuff and, working like 60 hours every week. And then you got the money, but then what's the point?
Well, this is it. You then have to balance it, don't you?
Yeah. So I think we've kind of got that nice...
Yeah.
How I can see it is going is like, a couple of months where nothing happens. Then you have a really crazy month. Then a couple of months of chill again. And, just like these little spikes of activity with like a couple of months chill in between would be quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where, unfortunately, because my business has been good over the years, because it's just money that's just come in. I mean, when 14 years ago now, I got a van and turned it into a motorhome. I go away a lot, do lots of meditation and stuff, mindfulness, and I like to be out in nature.
Yeah.
So I got this van and did it up, turned it into a motorhome, and I did that for about 2 years, and I hardly did any work because the royalties were just coming in.
Nice.
So it was like being semi-retired.
Yeah.
And we've had quite a few years like that, because there's two of us involved in media music now. But we've had, like I say, we've had years where we've just had to worry about money. But in the last few years, as the industry changed, the money we've got saved is going down now. So it's like... and it's not coming in the same. I think it will be going forward. I think I'll have to do more custom work.
Probably, to balance it.
Which I mean, I'll have that situation where I probably have months where I'm busy and then months where I'm not.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
I guess it depends how you like to work. Like to me, that's quite attractive. I like the idea of having really mad sprints where there's a lot happening and then with downtime.
Yeah.
I think I'd more struggle with like a relentless. If it was 6 out of 10, but every week, like no matter what, I think that would do my head in a bit. I can deal with like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 for a few weeks if then I've got, a few weeks of 2 out of 10.
Right, I'm with
that's better. Probably a lot of composers are like that.
Yeah, I think you can't maintain it, can you? Because you just burn out in the end.
Yeah, and I think as well your ears just get... It's almost like you've heard too many notes, you start to lose.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a daily challenge, that, isn't it? You write something, it sounds brilliant. By the time you finished it, 6 hours later,
like,
the next day you go in and you listen to it, you think, oh, shit, start again. So when somebody hires the orchestra, do you have to have like an agreement with them regarding the music that they get at the end? Yeah,
essentially. So I guess there's something called chain of title, which basically means that who owns it, essentially. Because if you're paying us, but then we pay the musicians as well. There needs to be a chain linking musician assigning their rights to the orchestra, who then assign it back to the composer or whoever it is. So that's kind of how it works. We follow the Musicians' Union guidelines. So depending on what the usage is, they have different agreements and contracts. So for example, there's one called the PMAG agreement.
Okay.
PMAG is Production Music Something Guild or something like that. Okay. So they've negotiated with the Musicians' Union, and between them they've come up with this agreement, which is rates of pay and minimum working hours and all this kind of stuff. So so at the session you'd have a PMAG contract that musicians would fill out with their name and then put what the fee was and all that, and then what the uses were, and the musician gets a copy, the Musicians' Union gets a copy, the composer gets a copy, and then we would keep one as well. And that essentially establishes that paper trail to say that the musicians are releasing any rights they had in that intellectual property in favour of the composer or the production company, or whatever it is, basically. But when we started, we didn't do that. We just had our own contract. And we just had one contract for all types of media.
See.
So it didn't matter what you were recording for. It was just same price, full buyout kind of thing. But we've moved away from that just because you can't really get the best players doing that, because best players don't really want to do full buyouts. They just want to do they want to do Musicians' Union approved rates and contracts.
So what's I assume that the audio would be a full buyout in the sense that the person, so if somebody came to you from a music library, would they have full buyout on the music royalty, on the recording royalty?
I think so, it's in the sense it applies to the usage. Basically. Okay. So if you recorded it for production music, you can't just slap it in the game. Willy-nilly. It's bought out for the usage that it was contracted for, basically. Right. Yeah, and then say it was for a production album, but then BMW want to use it on an advert, that would be classed as extra use. So BMW would have to contact the Musicians' Union and say, we want to license this track. Who played on it, who needs paying kind of thing. And then they'd come back to us. And there'd be a bit of a paperwork
negotiation
thing. Yeah, and they'd figure out what the deal was. Yeah. But a lot of the time, it's bought out for the usage that it was contracted under, but additional usage isn't cleared, basically.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that keeps it fair then. Yeah. So, if someone, stops people being exploited, basically, where they've turned up to do a job that they think is for one thing, and then a few years down the line, the composer's just used it for something else and took the fee. You know what I mean? Because, it could just become a bit of a headache, especially if you had like 60 musicians in a full orchestra that played on it.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing for composers to know about, because you don't want to get screwed over by copyright claims and things like that. But that's how it works in a nutshell. It's just the Musicians Union has loads of different contracts depending on what it's for. If it's film, if it's TV, game, production music, branded content. I think they've got one for radio dramas. Literally any type of use you can think of, they'll have some kind of agreement, and you just have to follow their rules. Some of them say, it's a minimum of 2-hour call. This is the thing you rate, whereas the branded content one, you can do a 1-hour call, but then the rate is higher, because an advert might only be 30 seconds long, so they acknowledge that they wouldn't need a 2-hour session for things like that, basically. But that's how it works.
Right.
Whereas if you go to Eastern Europe, it's a lot more relaxed. They don't have the Musicians Union in the same way. It's just sign the contract, you're clear, use it for whatever you want, basically. So for that, you very much could record it for one thing and use it for another with no sort of backlash or whatever.
Okay.
But you can't do that with UK stuff, because we've got more of a...
So you don't do a full blanket sort of buyout then, basically, is what you're saying? It has to be signed.
Not usually. It's possible in niche circumstances.
It'd probably be possible, but cost a bit of money, I would imagine.
Yeah, you'd probably have to pay the musicians more. That's something that we used to do, but we've moved away from it just as we're trying to get better players. But it's certainly possible in niche circumstances.
It's wise to do what you're doing, I think.
Yeah, you just need to make sure you're covered, because it's a very murky side of the industry. Like, no one person that I've spoke to understands it all. Yeah. I mean, the Musician Union rep is pretty good. Okay. But even there's, they're getting... I think just because of how fast media changes, like social media and all this stuff, it's... By the time the Musicians Union have caught up, they're quite a bureaucratic thing, aren't they? They have to come up with a resolution, and it has to go to the members, and the committee has to sign it off. So it just takes them a while to think, right, we need to do this change. Let's come up with a new system and then integrate it. That could take a year or 18 months. Whereas in the industry, things move faster than that, basically. But you just got to be aware of this stuff. And America will have the union. Any other country, like Germany, will have their version of it. Any major country that will have their sort of equivalent of that.
Right,
I would say, to make sure that people are compensated and things.
Well, being in music licensing, I've had quite a lot of experience in all these kinds of
I bet all sorts of has cropped up.
Yeah, well, it has,
disputes and this kind of...
Yeah, one we've had a few times is big companies will come along and they'll go, can we license this, but we want exclusivity? And you go, no, you can't have exclusivity. And they don't understand, because they think, well, why? And then you have to explain to them, well, this track could have been licensed hundreds of times before, so there's no way anyone can have exclusivity now.
Yeah, so if they were the first one...
If they were the first one, that's another thing I'm going to do. We're introducing is exclusive license. So any new music I'm creating, it's available exclusively until it's not.
Yeah.
So if somebody licenses it non-exclusively, then it's gone. But if it hasn't been licensed, I could say, you can have that exclusively. But anyway, companies come along, so they ask for weird things. Big companies are the worst. Yeah. What they'll do, they'll want you to change the terms of the license agreement. So they'll want it to be a blanket buyout for every use. And they'll want all media worldwide, and they'll want all media known and unknown. Future. Yeah. And it's like, well, just a minute. How could we possibly even do that?
Yeah.
Because, if you put on where you can use this for all media known and unknown, or whatever the legal term is, it's not that, I can't remember it now. But you'd put yourself in the right hole.
Yeah.
Because who knows what the future's going to bring. I mean, if we'd done that 10 years ago, now I suppose people could be using that music in AI.
Yeah, it could be literally
because of what we gave them in that terms.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful with your terms.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's not surprising companies do that kind of thing.
Oh,
again, I think they just always want that control aspect. And if they don't understand how things go in music, and I guess as well, if they're a big company, they're probably used to getting their own way as well. So they just think they can always ask for whatever. But have you had any of them where you've just said it's not possible? And
loads.
And they've still, have they turned away, or have they just
most
accepted
of the time they accept it because they're just trying to look. I had somebody on from a large company that wanted to speak on the phone. I hate that because, if I'm selling something for £27.50, I don't want a phone call about it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not worth your time, is it?
No. And so, you know, when you get a large company then saying they want things changing, I then say to them, well, I can look at what you want changing, and I might be able to change it, but it will cost you more money.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So they don't like that.
No.
But usually, I had somebody. It wasn't £27.50. It was a bigger license. It was an advertising license.
Yeah.
And they wanted some terms changing, and I can't remember the terms now, but they were so ridiculous. it was like, you know, I'll just sign my house over to you as well.
Yeah.
You know, do you want the shirt off my back? I said this to him joking on the phone, and he laughed.
Yeah.
And I said to him, would you put those terms in your contract? And he said, no.
Yeah.
And I said, exactly. And neither will I.
Yeah, I think they know when they're being a bit ridiculous.
And he said, right, okay, I had to ask, and that was it. And they still licensed it.
It's the thing with music, though. People don't. It has no value in people's head. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be saying that stuff if it had more of a value. But yeah, I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier about like the Spotification of things.
Spotification.
Yeah. Just you know, having infinite music on tap has just made it so people don't really see any value. And in their head, it's like, well, why can't I just use it? You know, if I'm paying for Spotify and I can listen to it infinite times. But yeah, it is a tricky one, I think. I don't think anyone's come up with like a definitive solution, really. I mean, the best solution is just pay to have something custom made every time, and then you can own it. And, you know.
Even then, you've got to be careful because, like you've experienced, if you don't get the terms right, the customer's not protected, and neither's the composer or the musician. So it's always tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
I
But
think
you've got
that's
to have a line in the sand, so to speak.
Yeah, you can't just like do free for all.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Voiceovers are good at this. They'll do. You'll send them a script and they'll give you a quote, and you'll ask for a buyout, and they will go, oh well, yeah, it's okay. But then they'll come back later and go, oh well, hang on, are they using it for this now? Well, I want more for that. Well, no, it was a buyout, and so they'll get sort of picky about terms. I mean, we've done audiobooks over the years because one thing about our business is it sort of evolved. So once there was music on there, somebody would come along and buy some music and then say, oh, do you do voiceovers? And we ended up with voiceovers, and we ended up doing all kinds of different audio services, which has been good because it's an extra income when music's not doing as well as it should. And we've done audiobooks, and I had a client, they wanted like Gerard Butler, and they wanted that distinct sound, but obviously they couldn't get hold of him, you know, even through his agent and all the rest of it. So, and if they had done it, it would have been stupid money. So we got somebody that sounded similar that we sourced for them, and he did their audiobook recording for I think about £3,000. And once I'd done the editing and all the production, that added another couple of thousand. So it was about £5,000.
Yeah.
And they were happy with that. But then the author went and did a second book. And during this time, this voiceover had got some more sort of high-end work, and had obviously increased his value of himself. And rather than £5,000, he wanted 30 for the next book.
Yeah.
So, you know, things change, and, you know, the client wasn't happy because they assumed he'd be charging the same price, and you have to sort of try and balance all of that and say, well, no, he's free to charge what he wants, but, you know, whether we agree with it or not. Yeah,
it's tough when you're in the middle. The client always, I don't know, they'd always see you as the middleman who's supposed to be arranging it, and then, but I suppose you can't really help if someone says, well, that was my old rate, this is my new one, there's nothing you can do.
It's always a challenge.
Right,
well, it's been really interesting to talk to you, Jack.
Likewise.
So it's been great to hear what you're doing. Just one last thing then, what do you hope for the future?
For the future, so we're working on a TV show at the moment that will come out in June, so in the near future we've got that to celebrate and look forward to, but I think just more high profile projects now. I think we've set a good foundation, and it's just about trying to punch through to that upper sort of echelons where, you know, we can challenge for the major sort of studio projects we want to get to. So yeah, that's kind of the main goal. And then I think the other big goal for ours is to then do more concerts, because we do want to be a performing orchestra as well as just recording. But again, that's significant outlay and risk to make it happen. So that'll be another sort of medium to long term goal, is get to a point where we're doing, you know, like 6 to 8 concerts a year, and can have like proper concert seasons with themes, and not just do the crowd-pleasing music either.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously you do as John Williams.
The Williams versus...
Yeah, I mean, it's just too boring. Obviously, you get
There's
too
loads
many.
of them around.
It's good the first time, and then it's like, I'd like to do concerts that's mixing and matching classical music and film music and sort of showing the links
that'd be nice.
Conceptually, but also you doing more obscure film music that isn't just the big hitters, basically. So again, how that works financially, I don't know. Because the problem with concerts is that if you don't sell the tickets needed, everyone still needs paying. So it's an easy way of like going out of business if you're not careful. We've got to reach like a financial buffer point where, say we had a disastrous concert that made a massive loss on, it's not going to totally be the end of the company. But I think, long term, it's increase the reputation of the orchestra through concerts and things, and then the two can kind of feed back into each other, and then who knows? And then, just beyond that, as I was saying before, just to have our own facility eventually where we can record sort of as much as possible would be the other big goal. But I like your idea of a church or some kind of repurposed building. I think would be pretty cool.
Well, that's at Air Studios. Is it just a church?
Yeah, it was a church. I can't remember what Abbey Road was originally.
Right.
Back when it was called EMI Studios. But I think usually they pick these places because they're well built. They've naturally got pretty good acoustics and high ceilings and things. But even if it's not a church, even if it's just a standard space, you can still make it work. Absolutely, I think just having your own headquarters goes a long way.
Absolutely,
for sure.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, when you've got your own place, maybe I'll come down and we'll
we can do a sequel.
Do a tour.
Definitely. Hopefully it won't be too many years.
Brilliant. Nice one.
Nice one.
Brilliant.
Amazing. Thank you.
Media Music Now. Conversations.